realize the irony of saying something like this on a self-help channel, but here's something I wish somebody told me sooner about self-improvement. It doesn't work the way that we think it does. There's a reason why New Year's resolutions don't work. And that reason is typically with a New Year's resolution, what we're saying is, I don't like how things are going right now. I don't like myself or my life or whatever. And I want to make a change. So overnight, literally like on New Year's Day, I'm going to make this drastic change to my life. And then my life will be different. And all the things that I will gain from doing it that way will come to me. And then 2 weeks later, no, like we're not doing that thing anymore. We've fallen off of it. We feel bad. We feel guilty. We feel ashamed. And we don't have to. We don't have to feel that way because the truth is that that's not unusual. That's what happens. That's how brains work. Human beings, apparently, according to my therapist, are not actually capable of that drastic change in terms of actually sustaining it. We can change that quickly, but she said to think of it like a rubber band. So you have a rubber band and you stretch it out to where you want it to be, right? And then what happens when you let go? As soon as we get distracted, as soon as, I don't know, something else comes up in our life, like that rubber band snaps back to where it was before. We're asking ourselves to bend ourselves completely out of shape from where we are right now, and we can't sustain that. So while we can make drastic change all at once, it's not going to be lasting change. We can sometimes get stuck in these cycles, and I have been there of looking for the thing that will change our lives or the thing that will help us change and be the people we want to be, and we need to do it like now. But when we do that, we really do set ourselves up for failure because we're going to snap back. One of the things I'm learning to do is to accept that I can't change overnight. But that doesn't mean I can't change. What she told me is that human beings are really only capable of sustaining 1 degree of change at a time. So if you stretch out a rubber band a little bit, it might actually stay in that shape because you're not asking it to be something that it's not. You're asking it to grow just a little. This not only applies to like routines and habits, which it definitely does, but it also applies to how we are as humans personally, like personal growth. One of the things that's really common with people with anxiety is having a low tolerance for uncertainty. I mean, I knew I don't do well in situations where there's a lot of uncertainty, but I thought the answer was like, well, just make sure that there's certainty. So I had to learn to build up my tolerance for uncertainty. And when I thought about it and I processed it and I went to my therapist, I said, I just want to change completely. Like, I just want to sit in all the uncertainty. I just want to be uncertain about everything. If I don't know something, I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm just going to be comfortable not knowing it. And she just laughed. And that's when she told me this, like, you have to do it slowly because human beings aren't capable of sustaining that kind of drastic change. We are only capable of sustaining 1 degree of change at a time. So if you want to build up your tolerance for uncertainty, the best way to do that is to give yourself just a little bit of space, a pause that feels doable, like maybe a little uncomfortable, but doable. And I think that's the key to any routines, habits, anything you want to do. And it's going to be different for everybody. Nobody can give you the formula of what's going to work for you, but it should be within this. In education, they call it like the proximal zone of development, where you're stretching yourself a little bit, but not so much that you're going to snap back. And I think only we can really know where that is. I know when I'm asking too much of myself because there's a little voice in my head that's like, you can't do it. Like, you're not going to be able to keep this up. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong. Like, this time will be different. But I know, like, if I listen to that voice in myself, I can tell that I'm asking too much of myself. And I can also tell when I'm not asking enough, when I'm just like lying to myself and I'm like, oh, I'll just do this little bit because like baby steps are fine. And I'm like, I could do more and I could sustain more, and I know that. So I think what everybody's 1% is different, but I would so love to see our community able to make the changes in their life that they want to make and not spend so much time and energy and effort and money on drastic changes that are not going to last, and all of the discouragement and disappointment and loss of belief in ourselves that comes with that. Because we live in a society where people will sell us solutions and tell us that it's going to be an overnight change. There's just so many like instant fixes that people try and sell us because we all want that instant fix. We want to be different than who we are. We want to be different from where we are. And so, of course, we're going to want the change that happens quickly, but that's not the change that lasts. So it's not really change. That is not how change works, which is really disappointing. I wish it was, right? I wish as soon as we knew how to do better, we just did better. Like, that would be great, right? I wish you could pick up a self-help book and be like, oh, that's the answer? Like, I'll just do all of those things then. And like, now my life is fine. It's not how it works. And so like, I hope nobody's watching this channel going, oh my God, like that's the solution, and binge watching the videos and being like, let me just change everything right now, and like expecting that to last, because it's not going to. I am in a really good place with my ADHD and understanding how my brain works and working with it, not against it. But you know what? You know how I got there? 1 degree of change. It was 1 week of like learning a new thing, and then another week of learning a new thing, and like slowly over 7 years I got here. But if anybody's like binging this channel going like, oh, I'm gonna fix my entire life overnight, you're not. Change does not happen overnight. But the good news is it can happen, and to get there we don't have to put ourselves through that level of intense New Year's resolution. I'm going to change everything right now. We can get to where we want to go by just steering ourselves in that direction just a little. And that's a lot kinder to us. It's a lot less disruptive to our lives. It's a lot less stressful on us and probably the other people in our lives. One of the things that I've always struggled with is like getting into a regular workout routine that I can sustain. What would happen is I would go from like, I'm not working out at all, to like, let me work out 5 days a week. Let me go to the gym and do something completely different outside my routine. It was too much. I could not sustain it. I would run out of energy or money, or like, I wasn't the kind of person that could go to the gym 5 days a week. That's not who I am. And so asking myself to be that immediately didn't last. What I'm using now is Copilot. And when I started, I went, you know what? 1 degree of change.
Copilot is a one-on-one coaching service where you connect with a personal trainer who designs workouts that work for you based on your current fitness level, whatever equipment you have available, and however long you want to work out. You meet via video calls to talk about your goals and individual needs. Then your coach tracks your workouts and keeps you accountable with regular check-ins. One of the things I love about Copilot is that it encourages incremental change. When I told my first trainer I could work out 5 days a week, she was like, how about 3? And then there can be optional workouts if you feel like doing more. When 3 a week was still a bit too much, she encouraged me to go down to 2 a week. And once 2 a week felt totally doable for me, I was able to go up to 3. The progress wasn't as quick as if I'd been able to do more per week, but I was still making progress. I was getting stronger and better at my workouts. And more importantly, I was able to sustain it. Because I'd already adjusted and adapted and gotten used to it being a part of my routine, it was just 1 more degree of change. So I was able to stick to it. And I'm seeing the difference. I'm starting to feel really good in my body. I'm feeling more coordinated. I can tell that I'm stronger. My brain is functioning better because I'm working out regularly. I'm less stressed than I probably would be otherwise while writing a book. Am I completely where I want to be? No. But I know that I'm going to get there, and that's the difference. All the trainers I've had on Copilot have supported me getting to my goals in a way that's sustainable as opposed to getting to them quickly, which I know from experience works better, at least for me. If you'd like to try it out, click my link, go.mycopilot.com/howtoadhd to get 14 days free with your expert fitness and health coach.
It's so hard to be patient. It really is. But like, it is cool looking back and go, you know what? It's been a long time to get me to where I am now. And I'm still not there yet, but I see the progress, and I'm sustaining that progress. Probably for the first time in my life about anything, really, because I'm not asking so much of myself that I can't keep it up. What we expect of ourselves is often incredibly unrealistic. And then we beat ourselves up because it didn't work out, or we get mad at our partner because it didn't work out, or our employee or our boss, like whatever. We're just like, but I asked for change yesterday. Why didn't it happen? It's like, well, you know, sometimes you need to shift things into place to support that change, is really what it comes down to, right? We have to shift the way that we think. We have to shift the way that we act. We have to shift our circadian rhythm, like our body clock. There's a lot of pieces that have to be shifted into place to support a change. And if you don't give yourself or the person that you're asking for change from time to shift those pieces into place, they're not going to be able to make it happen. It's going to be a janky foundation, and that's going to fall. I think one way to cope with the impatience of like, but I'm not getting there fast enough, is to really get curious and practice mindfulness around where is the progress. If you look for that change, it is there. So I think for me personally, what helps me deal with impatience of like, but I'm not there yet, is to really acknowledge and appreciate the change that is there, and recognize that even if I'm not there yet, I'm headed in the right direction. And eventually that will get me to where I want to go. I have to say one more thing, just because it's important, because sometimes we want to change people into people that we think they should be and not necessarily who they think they should be or who they want to be. I think it's okay to encourage growth in other people, but it's important to remember that like people need to grow along their own growth lines. You can't grow somebody into somebody else. Like, you can't grow them into a different person. If I'm expecting somebody that I care about, that I want to encourage to like be better and be the best version of themselves, but in my version of the best version of themselves is somebody who they're not, it's not going to work. So I think we also have to be careful not only with how quickly we expect ourselves or others to change, but what kind of change we're asking for. We all have our own growth lines. We all have our ways in which our values are encouraging us to grow, and we would like to be here, but we're not there yet. And that we can encourage and we can work on. If you're asking somebody or yourself to grow into something that isn't even important to you or isn't really who you are, that's probably not going to work either. I've asked myself to be things that are not going to be sustainable either, because it's not actually what I want. It's not actually in line with my values. And I've honestly, it's embarrassing to admit this, but I've done that to others as well, where I'm just like, it'd be really great if you loved going to parties and this and this and this. If somebody's not an extrovert, they might like be willing to go to parties with you, but they might not ever be the person that you're hoping that they're gonna be. At the end of the day, like, we are who we are. We still value what we value. Our boundaries are what they are. We can stretch and grow, but we're not going to be different people. There's something called radical acceptance, which is this idea that wherever you're at, you accept that and get real with yourself about where you're at now, because then you can identify what that 1 degree of change is and what's actually doable. If that's not who you are, that's not actually 1 degree of change for you. Same with a partner, same with a friend, same with an employee. First, recognize where they're at, really. Like, actually, not where you'd like them to be or like yourself to be, but where they're actually at. And then encourage 1 degree of change so that it's sustainable. Then appreciate that change. Thank you to my brain advocates and all my Patreon brains for helping us do the work that we're doing on this channel and being able to change the world, make it a little more ADHD friendly, 1 degree at a time.
Again, if you want to try out Copilot, you can get 14 days free by clicking on my link in the description below.
Like, subscribe, click all the things. Let me know what your 1 degree of change is, and I will see you next week. Bye, brains.